Hey guys, Subpar Lobster here, and I want to talk about the movie Hateful Eight for a quick minute. So, the movie Hateful Eight is a dialogue movie. It is a movie about characters locked in a room who are forced to kind of play out a circumstance. The awesome thing about this movie is that Tarantino is writing it, and Tarantino is probably one of the best people to do this. It plays kind of like Reservoir Dogs in the same way that nothing really leaves this central contained space, and these characters are actually kind of forced into situations that are more difficult because of how in close proximity they are. It's an awesome movie, and I highly recommend it. Every string of dialogue and every character kind of melds together to create this orchestra that Tarantino writes. And at the end of the day, I think that if this was going to be Tarantino's last movie, like he's been talking about, it'd be a really good send off to his legacy. It kind of combines everything that he's good at into one perfect movie. That also happens to be a callback to his very first movie, Reservoir Dogs. Hateful Eight's in theaters now, guys, and you should check it out.
Hello, everyone. Nick Flurry here with yet another movie review. This week, we here at the Punch Button will be reviewing The Hateful Eight, a film that is a spiritual sequel to Django Unchained. By that, I mean it exists within the same universe. Something along the lines of what Quentin Tarantino did with Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, where they existed within the same universe. But it stars Samuel L. Jackson, Kurt Russell, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Tim Roth, Michael Madsen, just to name a few, in a film that almost remained a dream because the script leaked online, but through people like you and me, the fans, Tarantino turned the dream into a reality, and thank God he did, because the film it's amazing. It's beautifully acted. The cinematography is gorgeous. The score is amazing, and they have great chemistry, all the actors. But what else can I say? It's a Quentin Tarantino film, and everything you would expect from the director. He's yet to disappoint us in the 8 films he's made, and well, I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It has a great story, and who cares if the first hour and a half there's nothing but exposition, but the script is well written, so it makes you want to listen to every word being spoken. Like I said, I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, go see it. And this has been Nick Flurry.
Hey guys, the Chief Asch here today talking about Quentin Tarantino's new film, The Hateful Eight. So, here we go. The Hateful Eight is pretty much like if you've ever been to a murder mystery, and it's like one of those, like you sit around and you try to figure out what's going on and blah 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 blah. But after you find out who did the person that did the dirty deed, it's like that. It's like a typical murder mystery, but in the sick and gritty style of Quentin Tarantino, and complex characters and plot devices and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like the murder mystery, and then after the mystery's over, whatever, you get like this neat little. It's like about 15 minutes of a Mexican standoff or like a poker game. It's like who's got the cards they say they have, and who's bluffing, or who's got the bigger bluff, right? So it's a good movie. It's a very well done movie, and it's definitely worth the watch. It's kind of hard not to compare it, however, to another Quentin Tarantino movie from a couple years ago, Django Unchained. I mean, they have very similar things about them. I mean, they're set in almost exactly the same time period. They're set, they're in the same area. They have similar themes, and hell, they even have Samuel L. Jackson is in both movies. He's a Tarantino regular. He's in a lot of Tarantino movies, and he's one of the main characters in this. I mean, he does a good job. It's a really good movie, and it sets itself apart from Django, but it has, because it's same director, it has same actor, but it's not that big a deal. But same actor, similar themes and all that. It's easy to compare them, but it is a completely different movie, and I think a lot of people were afraid of it being exactly the same, but it's completely different. Way separate from it, but you will find me comparing it to things in Django, because I mean that's a really easy bridge to make. Like Django, this movie is riddled with just complex characters that are rather well defined, and the dialogue, as Tarantino's known for, and as always, is excellent. It's just great. It's great dialogue. My only problem with this movie is that it's long ass runtime. I mean, Tarantino's really known for his movies to be pretty long. I mean, on average, I think his movies run between like 2.5 to 3 hours, like all of them. But this one I think is 2 hours and 47 minutes, somewhere around there. But it's long, and I feel like some of that runtime could have easily been alleviated with, a little more being more conservative with what scenes or what parts, what things we're showing, right? Because a lot of the transitions and stuff like that, it's always essentially the same thing. It's a different angles of different shots of these horse-drawn carriages being drawn through the terrain and through the snow and stuff like that. And once or twice it wouldn't be that big a deal, but it really kind of lingers on and stuff like that. So overall, it's, I don't know. You get the carriage, right? You get the carriage, and then it's accompanied like Tarantino does. He does a transition, and then he picks out this music that he feels like goes for it. And Tarantino has a really good for music, and he's really good at picking it out. But the transitions in, let's say, Django. Like I said, I was going to compare it to Django. Let's talk about Django. Transitions in Django, there's a couple really known transitions, and it'll be like him riding on horseback or something like that, and then it'll be playing rap music. But it's not that long. It's really short. There's a lot of things in Django. There's a lot of messages say, stuff like that. So Tarantino he didn't have that longer transitions because all that entire runtime of Django was just jam-packed with story, and he wanted to get it all in there. Whereas this, I feel like a lot of the transitions, they run way too long. It's just a horse-drawn carriage. There's no story in it, so because I feel like they were just kind of in there to, take up time. Where some of them in Django were kind of long, but even the longest one was pretty bearable, and the song they picked it was kind of out of the way, so it worked really well in that. Whereas this, it's kind of got old westerny-esque songs like you would hear in the 70s versions of these sorts of movies. But they run really long, and I honestly feel like that if you were to cut out a couple of these, let's say take all these transitions and you cut them in half, you probably will end up having maybe up to like 15 to 20 minutes of the movie cut out just from those transitions alone. It was really they were pretty. There's a lot of them. There's a shit ton of those transition scenes, and I mean, I think maybe because the film takes place in most of the film takes place in what is it, Millie's haberdashery, and almost the entire film takes place there. So I think due to the fact that almost every single transition was this horse-drawn carriage, it made that even worse. It highlighted the fact that how many there were, because they don't really actually go anywhere. When they tell a story, it goes to them to that transition of the horse-drawn carriage. So it's something. But Tarantino, he's an artist. He's one of the few directors out there that I truly believe he's not necessarily worried about people coming and seeing this movie. He's worried about getting his message out there the way he wants it. I mean, for example, his use of, in this movie, he used 70 millimeter film, which is like a film. It's actual film. It's not digital. And they used it in like the 70s and 60s and stuff like that. That's what they used to make. And he made this movie with that because he thought it would add to that atmosphere. It would add to this and that of the movie, instead of doing what most directors now are doing, and they go to that 3D bullshit. But no, Tarantino was like, nah. Fuck that. I want this to resemble those old westerns that people would like to watch back in the day, and I'm going to film it just like them. Which, I mean, that in this movie it produces results. I mean, it does. It gives you that little atmosphere that you're so used to because of these old movies, right? And I don't know. It works so well. It did, and he wanted to. In the whole, he wanted this movie to be a shout out to those old movies, and that's what we get. I mean, Tarantino. It's a Tarantino Western, and it works well. Also, I mean, in his throwback, coming back to those transitions, his opening sequences, he tried to style it in the exact same way. The opening credits, he tried to style it in the exact same way as some of some of those older films, right? And which, you know, it works. It's a neat little opening, but the thing is, each transition or each credit was like, I felt like it, to me it seemed like it was that each one got about 5 to 10 seconds apiece, which doesn't seem like that long maybe to somebody who didn't think about it. But if let's say you're showing, there's like 60 people you want to see and you're showing 2 at a time, and that, you know, those 5 to 10 seconds, you know, a person, that's, you're adding time really fast. And that I honestly feel like that, like, you have that opening which took so long, you just cut the times, everything was shown in half. You'll still have everything, but you'll lose some of that time. And I'm deeply and utterly afraid that in the future I'm going to find out that there's deleted scenes of this movie, and I'm going to watch the deleted scenes, and I'm going to be like, man, this scene should have been in the movie. Why was it cut? And on really, even if it isn't a full 15 to 20 minutes, there is enough time of these transitions that are wasted where one could easily take some deleted scene. You could have 2 or 3 scenes in the time that you waste on some of these transitions. So if in the future there is deleted scenes, it'll pretty much break my heart. I can't. It's crazy. But in reality, the transitions, they don't really deter from the movie. It really just hinders the runtime. I mean, the movie overall was, it was a rather clever movie, and it's entertaining with the murder mystery part. I was like, through the whole thing, I was like, I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on. Like, I know what's going on in the plot, but I have no idea who did it. You know, I had no inclination. Like, yeah, I know for a fact this is a person. That's really good aspect of this movie, is because it keeps you guessing. And then when you find out what goes on, what actually happened, you're like, where the hell did that come from? Like, and it worked. And then it moves on to this Mexican standoff point. So in that part, the actors are they're building the stakes, and there's just more of it. And you're just ready to see, like what's going on, right? And it really works very well in that. It's a super, super entertaining movie, and it really works for anybody that wants to, likes those, those movies set in the late to mid 1800s, that they deal with slavery and things like that, the Civil War, that it really falls into that. But it also, that plus people that are into, the Tarantino things and stuff like that, it's a very well done story, and it's laid out in a really good way. Now, as usual, as always with Tarantino movies, it is not one for the kids, and but it's mainly for you growed up motherfuckers, Gotta see, motherfuckers is appropriate because it's a Tarantino movie, and that's how that works. So this is a ride that I definitely wouldn't miss if you're into these sorts of movies. It's kind of, I'd even say it's for like a theater, like live theater goer. It's really set up a lot like a play, and it's executed well. It's a very well done movie, and I would recommend it all the time. It's a good movie, entertaining movie, and try to get out there and watch it. It's just now coming on theaters. It's brand new, so catch it while you can. The movie theater experience is the most important experience, so that's where it is. So this has been the Chief Ash on the Hateful Eight, and keep watching.
Hey, what's up? This is Nick Flurry here, reminding you to subscribe. And if you have any suggestions as to what we do next, or you want to tell us how we did, drop a comment down below. And if you want to see more, hit that like button.